The all-in average cost of a date in the United States just hit $189, up 12.5% in a year, and 46% of single Americans now say dating is just no longer financially worth it. A new Lancet study finds the United States has the largest morbidity gap in the world. Americans spend 14 years of their lives in poor health, more than any other country. And roughly 23 million American workers are staying in the jobs they want to leave, specifically because they can't afford to lose their health insurance. While everyone else was busy arguing about politics, a bunch of other things happened. I'm Keith Conrad, and this is News SideQuest. The BMO Real Financial Progress Index puts the all-in average U.S. date cost at $189 in 2026. That's everything, including pre-date grooming and transportation, up 12.5% from $168 last year. Millennials reported the highest average cost per date at $252. Geez, what are you millennials doing? Followed by Gen Z at $205. Americans spend an average of $2,300 on dates over the past year while going on fewer of them. About 12 in the past year, down from 14 in 2025. So that's basically one a month. Nearly half of single Americans, 47%, say dating is no longer financially worth it. That number is doing real demographic work alongside everything else we've covered this past year. The birth rate decline, the population crash projections, the AI companion ban in China, the men's testosterone decline. When people can't afford to date, the downstream consequences are significant and slow-moving. The BMO researchers described a K-shaped dating economy emerging. At one end, people are slashing dating expenses entirely, either skipping date nights or swapping restaurants for home-cooked meals and movie tickets for popcorn on the couch. At the other end, some are deciding an expensive date is worth the dent in their wallets. I couldn't afford the dating world today, and I'd clearly have to resort to moving to a cabin in the woods writing manifestos. A clinical psychologist quoted by CNBC put it this way, quote, "We're seeing that there is increased cost of living and it's lowering our dating frequency and how we're seeing or perceiving dating. We're seeing people have fewer dinners out and there's a lower tolerance for high-risk meetups." What's your best cheap date idea, which might itself qualify as a high-risk meetup? Not a consolation prize, the genuinely good one that doesn't cost much and actually creates a connection.
Do you mind if we dance with your dates?
The Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation at the University of Washington just published the Global Burden of Disease 2023 study in the Lancet Public Health, one of the most comprehensive analyses of global health ever conducted. And the finding about the United States just really jumped out at me. In 2023, the United States had the largest national morbidity gap in the world in 14 years, meaning Americans spend 14 years of their lives in poor health, more than any other country studied. Australia was second at 13.9 years and Canada third at 13.7. Globally, while life expectancy rose from 64.6 to 73.8 years between 1990 and 2023, the morbidity gap widened from 8.8 to 10.7 years. People are living longer, but they're not proportionally healthier. The gains in lifespan have not been matched by equivalent gains in health span. Instead of occurring only in the final years of life, though, the widening morbidity gap was observed across the adult lifespan, suggesting that people are spending more years living with disease and disability throughout adulthood, not just at the end of it. This isn't primarily a story about extended suffering into old age. It's a story about chronic conditions accumulating in middle age at rates that earlier generations just didn't experience. Over half of unhealthy years globally stem from non-fatal chronic conditions. noticeably musculoskeletal disorders, mental health conditions, sensory impairments driven by modifiable risk factors. Modifiable, that word is doing a lot of work in this sentence. The leading contributors to years lived in poor health are things that respond to lifestyle intervention: diet, physical activity, sleep, stress management. The 14-year U.S. gap isn't genetically predetermined. It's largely an output of how Americans live, what they eat, and how much they move, or rather don't move. Which would you rather, have a long life with aches and pains, or a shorter life that stays healthy the whole time? I think I'd take the extra time and adapt along the way, but I think the more useful version of that question is, what are the specific things you're doing that are likely to extend your health span rather than just your lifespan? The researchers are pointing at modifiable risk factors. The question is whether we're actually modifying them. How do you think about the distinction between living long and living well, and has something in your life actually changed because of that distinction?
Death stalks you at every turn!
Grandpa?
Well, it does. There it is! Death!
It's only Maggie.
Oh, yeah. You know, at my age, the mind starts playing tricks. So, death!
That's only the cat.
Oh, death!
That's Maggie again, Grandpa.
Oh, where were we? Death!
The West Health Gallup Center on Healthcare in America just published a new survey, and the number at the center of it deserves a few minutes of your time. About 24% of U.S. employees, approximately 23 million adults, stay in unwanted jobs specifically to keep their health insurance. The figure has risen dramatically in 5 years. In 2021, 16% of those surveys reported job lock. That term job lock has been in the economics literature for a few decades now, but 24 is a meaningfully higher reading than most previous estimates. Health status amplifies the effect significantly. Nearly 30% of workers with one or more chronic conditions reported staying in a job for coverage. That makes sense. And more than 40% of those with 3 or more chronic conditions did so. The people most trapped by job lock are the people who most need the health care that the job provides. The research director for the center was pretty direct about it. This quote, "Anybody having to stay in a job just to keep their health insurance knowing that they want to leave is crazy. This is a concerning figure, even if it's 10%. In 2021, Congress expanded financial assistance for middle-income people buying health insurance on the ACA marketplace. When those enhanced subsidies expired in 2025, the off-ramp for workers who wanted to leave employer-sponsored coverage became significantly more expensive, and the job lock numbers rose accordingly. The causal link between the expiration of the subsidies and the increase in job lock is not proven definitively, but the timing is suggestive and the mechanism is pretty clear. I mean, at a certain level, this just means people stay because they need money. Most people who stay in jobs they dislike do so for a cluster of financial reasons: income security, benefits, inertia. Job lock specifically names one mechanism, health insurance, that operates as a structural constraint rather than just a preference. When you can't quit because quitting means your family loses health coverage, that's a different kind of traps than not quitting because you haven't found something better yet. It removes the option to take entrepreneurial risk, to care for a sick family member, to move somewhere with better opportunities. The cost isn't just individual dissatisfaction, it's literally economic mobility for 23 million people. Has health insurance ever been the specific thing that kept you in a job you were ready to leave?
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
Good one.
Oh, that's terrific, Peter.
10 passengers on an EasyJet flight bound for Liverpool got into a mid-air brawl, forcing the pilot to turn the plane around and return to the departure airport. The pilot having to get on the PA system and say, "Settle down or I'll turn this airplane right around," is something nobody expected to ever happen in commercial aviation, but here we are.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamine.
Luke Skywalker's original lightsaber from Star Wars sold at auction for $3.75 million. The prop was used in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It's never too early to start thinking about Christmas shopping, just saying. I want to add that the Apollo 11 pen that saved the astronauts went for $850,000 earlier this week. So a fictional space weapon outsold an actual life-saving piece of human history by nearly $3 million. Draw your own conclusions.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
A Pan Am airplane that crashed off the coast of Puerto Rico in 1952 has been located after 74 years on the ocean floor. The plane disappeared during a flight and was never found until now. The discovery was made by a private research team using underwater scanning technology. Somewhere Amelia Earhart is shaking her head.
What kind of plane is it? Oh, it's a big, pretty white plane with red stripes and curtains in the window and wheels, and it looks like a big Tylenol.
A Florida man barricaded himself inside an RV in a Walmart parking lot while in possession of a flamethrower. Police negotiated the situation to a peaceful resolution. I just don't know what to say about this story, but I thought you needed to know it existed.
Spaceballs, the flamethrower! The kids love this one.
That's it for new side quests. 3 questions out there for your consideration. Your best actual cheap date idea. How you think about the distinction between living long and living well. And whether health insurance has ever specifically been the thing that kept you in a job you wanted to leave. Email me at newsidequest@gmail.com or slide into the Substack comments. See you tomorrow.